So you're walking into that high-stakes meeting. You can feel it, right? Your palms are a little sweaty. The outcome of this one conversation, well, it could define the entire next quarter. So let's get you ready. Let's arm you with a negotiation playbook that doesn't just work, it gives you a real decisive edge.
Okay, let's dive right in. Picture this. You're at the table, the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and there's one question just screaming in your head. Who's winning right now, me or them?
But here's the honest truth, and this is the very first thing we have to unlearn. If you're asking who's winning, you've already lost. It's the wrong question entirely. The moment you frame this as a battle, you've already put yourself on the defensive before a single word is even spoken.
What we need here is a total paradigm shift. We have to flip the script. The real goal isn't to crush the other side. It's to work with them to find a wise solution, one that actually satisfies the underlying interests of everyone at the table. Okay, let me make this real for you with 3 quick classic stories. First, the library. You've got 2 people arguing. One wants the window open for some fresh air, the other wants it shut because of the draft. So what does the librarian do? She doesn't just compromise and crack it open a little. No, she opens a window in the next room. One gets fresh air, the other gets no draft. Brilliant. Second, the cake. How do you divide it fairly? Simple. One person cuts the slice, and the other person gets to choose first. It's an elegant system, right? And my absolute favorite, the orange. 2 sisters are fighting over the last orange. The dad comes in, does the obvious thing, and cuts it in half. Well, the first sister takes her half, eats the fruit, and throws the peel in the trash. The other sister takes her half, grates the peel for a cake she's baking, and throws the fruit away. Think about that for a second. If someone had just asked why they wanted the orange, they both could have walked away with 100% of what they needed. These aren't just cute stories. They're blueprints for creating value out of thin air.
And this is how it applies directly to your world. That orange peel? That's your marketing team who desperately needs the brand assets from a deal. The fruit? That's your engineering team that only needs the core technology. If you just split the budget 50-50, you might starve both teams and cause them both to fail. But if you understand their true needs, the why behind their ask, you can find a creative solution where marketing gets everything they need and engineering gets 100% of the tech. That's how you win.
So how do we get to that kind of solution every single time? It's not some kind of magic trick, it's a process. I'm going to give you a 4-step framework you can literally take into any situation, whether it's a small team meeting or a massive multi-million-dollar deal. This is it. This is the heart of the playbook. Just 4 steps. People, interests, options, and criteria. We're going to break down every single one. If you can master these 4, you will be unstoppable.
All right, let's jump to the second step, because it's arguably the most critical. Focus on interests, not positions. A position is what somebody says they want. I want the window closed. An interest is why they want it. I need to avoid a draft so my papers don't blow away. Your job is to completely ignore the what at first and just obsess over the why. So your number 1 job, especially in the beginning of any negotiation, is to be a detective. You have to find their why. And honestly, it's simpler than it sounds. You just ask questions. You genuinely try to see the world from their point of view. And here's the key. You show them that you understand their needs before you even start talking about your own. People are just so much more receptive when they feel like they've been heard. Now, once you get the interests on the table, you can move to step 3, inventing options. This is where most people get stuck. They see one pie and they figure their only job is to slice it down the middle. But as we just learned from the orange story, that 50-50 compromise, it often leaves everyone feeling kind of disappointed.
But the real magic, where the breakthroughs happen, is when you start brainstorming. You get creative. You start looking at your different interests not as a point of conflict, but as the raw material for a solution. This is how you stop fighting over how to split the pie and instead start working together to make the whole pie bigger.
You know, none of this works without remembering the very first, most fundamental step. You have to separate the people from the problem. The person across the table is not your enemy. You and them, you are partners attacking a shared challenge. You have to remember, negotiators are people first. They have egos, they have fears, they have perceptions. And building rapport isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a strategic move. The data shows it can boost your success rate by up to 30%. So, show up a little early. Find some common ground. It's not small talk. You're laying the groundwork for success.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in a perfect world. But what happens when you walk into a really tough room and the other side has no interest in playing fair? What do you do when they have all the power?
or they start using dirty tricks.
This is where you find your real power. It's your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's not your bottom line. It's your walkaway plan. It's what you will do if you can't reach a deal at this table.
Just think about it for a second. Walking into a salary negotiation with no other job offers, you feel desperate. You'll probably take whatever they give you. But walking into that same room with 2 other solid offers in your back pocket, now that is power. Developing your BATNA before you even start talking gives you the confidence to know what a good deal looks like and the strength to walk away from a bad one.
All right, but what if they get aggressive? They don't attack the problem, they attack you. Our first instinct is always to push back, right? To defend ourselves, but that just digs everyone's heels in. Instead, you're going to use something called negotiation jujitsu. You don't meet their force with more force, you sidestep their attack and redirect all that energy back to the problem itself.
So imagine this. You're pitching a project that you've poured your heart into, and a really skeptical, important stakeholder just shuts you down. Your timeline is impossible and will never work. They're not offering a solution, they're just throwing up a wall. Your gut reaction is to get defensive. Don't do it.
Instead, you redirect, you ask for their advice by saying something like, "Help me understand, if you were in my shoes, what would you suggest we change to make this work?" You pull off this masterful pivot. Suddenly, you're not adversaries anymore. You've just invited them to be your problem-solving partner. You've turned their attack into a brainstorming session.
Okay, let's pull all of this together into a concrete plan. A really simple checklist that you can use to prepare for your very next meeting, no matter how big or small. Before you walk into that room, just quickly run through this list. First, people. How am I going to connect with them as a human being? Second, interests. What do I really need here, and what might they really need? Third, options. What are some creative ideas we could explore? Fourth, criteria. This is that 4th step, and it's so important. What objective standard, like market data or company policy or industry precedent, can we both agree on to make sure this is fair and not just a battle of wills? And finally, your BATNA. What's my plan B if I have to walk away?
And to really bake this into your daily habits, here are some dead simple 1-sentence rules. In every single meeting, make it a point to connect with the person before you talk about the problem. Always ask why to get to the real goal. Use the magic words, "what if," to open up new possibilities. And ground the whole conversation by asking, "what's fair?"
And finally, just be on the lookout for these common traps. If you feel like they're using a dirty tactic like the whole good cop/bad cop routine, just calmly name it. Hey, it feels like you guys are doing a good cop/bad cop thing here. That alone often neutralizes it. If you feel a power imbalance, you know what to do. Go back and strengthen your BATNA. And if they attack you personally, remember your jujitsu. Redirect that energy back to the problem.
So when you boil it all down, what is the actual goal here? We know it's not about winning, it's not about splitting everything 50-50, and it is definitely not just about getting your way.
You know, the best way I've ever heard it described is to think of it like 2 people playing Frisbee in a park. One person doesn't win at Frisbee, right? The point isn't to beat the other player. The point is to throw it in just the right way so they can make a great catch, and they do the same for you. The goal is to keep the game going in a way that's skillful, that's satisfying, and that's genuinely enjoyable for everyone involved. That is great negotiation.